Hello and welcome to Some Dude Shed. My name is Mr. Grey, and I am joined by Mr. Red.
Hello.
And Mr. Black.
Yo.
And today we will not be playing True or False. We will be playing a game of Choose the Ending. The idea is it's a similar basic concept of True or False. We tell each other stories, try and convince each other that they're true. But this time we've got multiple endings to our stories, and we basically have to pick which one is correct. So all these stories are true, except for the endings, which might not be. So, who would like to go first? I believe Mr. Black volunteered before we went live.
Yeah, just get mine over with. I don't think it's that good, but I titled this one The Half-Assed Rebellion of 1826.
Right.
Alright, so a little over 200 years ago, the now prestigious West Point Military Academy, which is like near not New York. West Point. No, West Point is, yes. It's a West Point in New York. I think it's in the east of USA. Had a different. It's basically just a very, very, very fancy military academy today.
Yes, it is in Europe.
Yes, had a very different reputation than it does today. Didn't close that window. You googling?
No, I was just wondering where it was.
There was a lot of partying, layabouting, and half-assed effort with training, until Colonel Sylvanus Thayer. It's a cool name. Colonel Sylvanus Thayer showed up to whip these fellows into shape. Some would argue that he would go too far in his cleanup process. There would be no partying, no alcohol, no smoking, no women, and worst of all, no reading novels.
There will be no reading.
No reading.
That's a bit...
No reading novels.
It's a bit harsh.
Because of these strict policies, the cadets would celebrate the 50th anniversary on the 4th of July. I'm assuming that's the 50th anniversary of...
Well, what year is this, Staples?
1826. So...
Yeah. That's the 50th anniversary of 1776.
Yeah.
The revolution will come again.
There you go. So, 50th anniversary on the 4th of July. Pretty big date. But with no women or alcohol. Christmas was coming up, and many of the soldiers were getting sick of Colonel Sylvanus and his shit. So what happened next? Alright. We have two outcomes. Alright. Scenario 1. A small group of soldiers tried to frame Colonel Sylvanus in a fabricated scandal which would include spreading rumours of him having sex with women, men, and animals, drinking heavily on and off duty, which they would prove by revealing stashes of his spirits in his living quarters, which would previously have been planted by bribed cleaners, beating up volunteer cadets so severely that they would then approach Sylvanus's higher-ups to accuse him of torturing his own cadets for even the slightest deviation of the code of conduct. Or, outcome 2. The cadets of the North Barracks would prepare the party to end all parties by gathering all sorts of very strong spirits. They would then all get severely drunk and cause such a ruckus that they would wake up their attending officer, who would shout the Riot Act at them, then threaten them with punishment. They would then retaliate by throwing stones through windows, breaking beds, and blocking the door with wood so the officer couldn't get in, with one cadet getting so carried away that he would shoot through the door at the officer, while other soldiers would rampage through the hallways with bayonets, muskets, and swords.
Right.
So, what do you reckon?
Well, the last one sounds pretty drastic. So what was that one again?
They gathered alcohol anyway, and they decided to get really drunk, and then they started retaliating whenever their attending officer would come and shout at them and threaten them with punishment because they broke the Riot Act.
I'm going to go for the second one.
And what about the one where they framed the captain?
Yeah, it was an elaborate plot by fellows, again, in the North Barracks. A small group of soldiers tried to frame Colonel Sylvanus in a fabricated scandal which would include spreading rumours of him having sex with men, women, and animals. Just lots of slander and, just anything to try and tarnish his reputation.
Right.
Accusing him of drinking heavily on and off duty, which they would then prove by revealing stashes of spirits in his living quarters, which would previously be planted by bribed cleaners. Some of them volunteer cadets would volunteer themselves to get beaten up really badly by their other cadet mates, and then they would sort of present themselves to Sylvanus's higher-ups and be like, "Oh, he's torturing us. He's torturing us because we didn't tie our shoes properly or something."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because they didn't like him. Because they banned books and booze and women.
Banning books is pretty rough. It's a bit... Anyway, anybody who bans books is...
That is true. They weren't allowed to read novels. No alcohol, no women, no parties. I mean, we weren't even allowed to drink alcohol on the 4th of July. Bad shit.
It's rough. Mr. Red, do you have any further questions?
No, they're both pretty fleshed out. I'm gonna go with the second one. Now you don't get to turn around and say, "Oh, neither of those two. I just made that guy up." You don't get to say that.
And when did you say
That's just-
1812?
That's pure lies. If you do that.
1826.
1826.
So 50 years after 1776.
Oh, that's not important. What you have to think about is what was America like at the time?
Yeah. So the
So-
the men, women, and animals thing.
Yeah,
I'm just
that
trying to
was-
think, would that have led to his execution?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a bit rough, really. You know, because if you were to blame somebody of that back then I could. I mean, if it was, I guess if it was proven, then
I would like to point out that also in the North Barracks was Jefferson Davis. He was one of the partygoers slash rioters slash conspirators. He would actually become the president of the Confederacy during the Civil War.
And
He was also involved in.
yeah, he led a rebellion in West Point, and he led a rebellion later on.
I'm gonna go with the first one because that sounds like something that would actually get a guy in trouble, even though it doesn't sound like something soldiers would do necessarily.
Because Captain Sylvanus was Colonel Sylvanus was no nonsense,
Hmm.
and that's why nobody liked him, because he just wasn't a fun guy.
But banning books, though, that just seems strange.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with option one.
That's not part of the multiple choice thing. It's just it was
He did
written,
ban
it
books.
was written down. It was cited that he did ban novels. Maybe not all novels. Like, I don't think he banned the Bible, but like he probably would have banned 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, he banned 50 Shades of Grey.
He probably banned like, don't know, fucking joke books or whatever. Like, just unapproved reading materials.
Well, I can imagine them doing that, but outright books, no. I don't know.
Sticking with option one, Mr. Red.
You sure?
Well, see, the thing about option one is,
Yeah.
Sure.
would they have made up, as you said, thinking about what kind of country America was?
Yeah, there
Back-
was
back then,
serious allegations.
If you made up that you were fornicating with another man, I don't even know how that would have been treated. I think it actually probably, ridiculously, it would have been more acceptable to fornicate with the animal than it would have been.
The man.
Jesus.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
I don't think.
See,
it's,
I don't think they would have made the man for it up. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna.
Well, it's just like literally anything. They're basically just trying to say he was like a sexual deviant. Like, while he was trying to make sure that all the men of the barracks weren't allowed to have any sexual relations. Like, he was pretty much banging everything, like literally everything. So like, they were pretty much just trying to say that he didn't follow his own rules.
I'm gonna go with the second one.
First one.
You sure?
Yep.
You sure?
Oh, Mr. Black, what is the ending to this story? How did they celebrate?
Well, the second one is true.
Wow. Okay.
The second
Yes,
one's true.
they wouldn't have accused someone back then of homosexuality. Jesus Christ.
This riot wouldn't subside until a 6:05 a.m. reveille, like the horn thing.
Mhm.
Just the wake up alarm, basically. Some guy with a little horn. On Christmas Day, they would easily tell who took part in the riot by who was severely hungover. They also knew the North Barracks were involved due to the broken windows, destroyed furniture, and banisters torn from hallways. The South Barracks were in perfect order, and the cadets from there were well rested and sober. Jefferson Davis was one of the partygoers, as he would become president of the Confederacy during the Civil War, but didn't partake nearly as much as everyone else. The 22 worst offenders, including Jefferson Davis to a lesser extent, faced house arrest on December 26th. Court-martials would follow, with 19 troops and 1 soldier facing punishment. This event became known as the Eggnog Riot of 1826. It was the eggnog, so they basically made home like eggnog, and all the spirits they could find, vodka, rum, whiskey, everything went into this eggnog, and so they just lost their shit.
Was that the invention of the eggnog?
No, I don't think so, but it was known as the Eggnog Riot.
Brilliant.
That's literally what it's called. If you typed in Eggnog Riot, that'll come up in Wikipedia.
So the moral of that story is, if you got a load of young men under your command, let them celebrate.
Yeah, just let them
Let them have a good time every now and then.
soldiers need downtime. They need R&R.
Well, I guess we could segue that into my story. Mine's about a soldier, sort of.
Ooh.
Master
So
Chief.
this is a story from
Captain Price.
way back in 1714, in the Great Northern War of 1714.
Where was it?
This was fought between Denmark and Sweden.
Proper North then?
They've had a lot of wars together. They're like England and France. They just can't help themselves.
We are the real Danes. No, we are the real Danes.
So this guy called Peter Tordenskjold, I think. I'll just call him Peter from now on because it's easier.
Very Swedish.
He was a captain lieutenant in the Danish Navy, or the Danish Norwegian Navy is kind of like put together, Flying Kingdoms. And he was in command of a fairly small ship. It was like a 20-gun ship, so not huge. I've got what it was called here. It's called the Lovendays Gallage or something like that. I don't know, something Danish. So anyway, so as he was patrolling, they encountered an English ship, and the English at the time, they were delivering this ship to Sweden, who were the enemies. So it was kind of like an enemy, but not really. You're looking at me strangely, Mr. Red.
No, it's just
They're just like,
the English delivering a ship.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
English made good ships at the time.
We ruled the waters.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Better than the Swedes. Anyway, yes. So the English ship was actually a good bit bigger. It was a 28-gun ship. So it was a good bit bigger than the Danish one that Captain Peter was a part of. And it was the English that actually started off the fight. They started a fight with a broadside hit, or a broadside shot, from their cannons, and the fight lasted for 14 hours between the two ships.
A lot of sailing around trying to line up the guns.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. There was an awful lot of sailing around. I don't think many other shots hit.
That sounds like a real pain in the hole.
Yeah, it does. And how hard would it be to aim something? I mean, it's on the side of the ship. You got rough waters and everything. It was just, it'd be horrible.
You can't just do like what they did in Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, where they just like pull it up alongside and then just rope the ships together and then just climb aboard and fight that way.
If you've got cannons, you want to use them, don't you?
Let's see, a 10-gun ship was this the Danish one?
20 guns. So
no, but
10 on side, yeah.
Oh, 10 per side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know. I just said
no, the English. That was the English ones.
The English one was 28 guns.
Oh, okay.
So it was a bit bigger. So basically, the question is, how did the fight end? I've got 4 options for you.
Oh my god.
So.
Turbo difficulty.
Option A. Captain Peter pulled over and challenged the English captain to a one-on-one duel with the sword. Captain Peter won, and then he sailed both ships back to the Danish port. And the English crew was then just released and allowed to go home. Because technically they weren't at war with England. So,
no way they would have just let go.
Option B.
We can go.
Option B. There was a mutiny on Peter's ship after 14 hours of combat. The crew were sick of fighting and saw no benefit in continuing. They threw Captain Peter overboard and asked the English for a truce. The English, being low on ammo and worried about their own mutiny, agreed and let them sail away. Captain Peter was saved by some dolphins in this potential ending.
I'm pretty sure there's no dolphins up in that part of the world.
Oh, there's actually loads. Hold on.
They wouldn't have saved them. They would have just raped them. They would have just raped them and swam off.
They would have saved them. They would have raped them.
There are lots of different types of dolphins in the North Sea. Hold on, I'll look it up on a nature website here.
The rapists of the ocean. Dolphins are bastards. They actually are.
Let's see. What species is it? Goodness, internet is so badly organised. There's porpoises, there's white-beaked dolphins, common bottlenose dolphins, shark-beaked dolphins, Atlantic white dolphins, common minks, pilot whales, humpback whales, and fin whales. There's loads of big swimming mammals up there.
What was the name of the Danish captain?
The Danish captain is Peter Tordenskjold.
Right.
Sorry, he was. So what was he again? Like Swedish? What was he?
He was Danish. He was a Danish captain lieutenant. He was in charge of the ship, but it was not a big ship.
So Denmark.
Yeah, Denmark.
Yeah, right.
So option C. Captain Peter ran out of ammo, but won the engagement by ramming the side of the English ship. The English crew were rescued, including the English captain. They all had a good laugh about it and drank together. The English crew were let go when Peter made port.
Huh.
So basically won him by ramming into the side of them, beating him up like ancient Roman style.
Okay.
Or option D, Captain Peter ran out of ammo, so pulled over and asked the English captain for more, as it was such a good fight. But the English captain denied this request, but they had a good laugh and a drink anyway. Peter was then court-martialed whenever he got back to Denmark.
I feel like the last one would be more true.
Yeah, it's just the court-martial bit at the end. It's like,
Well, he probably would have been court-martialed after the mutiny as
Yeah.
well. I mean, you don't have a ship mutiny and there'd be no consequences after that. So,
But now I feel like you're defending that point, so I think it's not true now.
so
Unless you're doing reverse psychology.
I'm gonna go for the last one.
is there any questions you'd like to ask? On any of the
What was
options?
the third one?
Third one? Captain Peter ran out of ammo, but won the engagement by ramming the side of the English ship.
And they had a laugh.
Well, luckily, not. There weren't very many English fatalities, so they.
So they had a laugh.
Yeah, so
But
well, I imagine it was. Well, you've
Some
heard
of our
of
mates are dead.
a more famous example of enemies kind of having a laugh together would be like, you remember the Christmas truce, First World War?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess once they're off their own ship, they're basically prisoners, but they're not really the enemy. They're the English. They're just delivering a ship.
What year was this again?
This was in 1714. This
Right.
was the imaginatively titled Great Northern War.
If I have the idea of what ships looked like back then, I just picture ramming to be not a very good idea. That type of ship.
Well, the front's quite solid.
Yeah, but
The prow's quite a solid beam.
you ram the side of another ship, though, there's a high chance your ship will get stuck, and then both ships will go down.
That is the risk, yeah. Especially as he was ramming a larger ship too.
Yes, that makes it even worse. That makes it so the buyer ship, if it stays intact, will
the
truly get
front of the
lodged.
ship is always going to be stronger than the side.
Yeah, but that just helps it get lodged in.
Some ships were built with rams too for that purpose.
That's true.
Plus, if this is like a 14-hour battle, then I'm going to assume that the waves were turbulent. So if like that ship is stuck into the front of that ship, eventually it's going to break free because of the way the waves are going to be rocking both the ships. It'll eventually rock free. I don't know. Part of me wants to say the last one.
The last one, he pulled over and asked the English captain for more ammo.
Yeah, that one's just.
It's just the fact that you tagged on a court martial at the end of that one makes it more believable.
Oh, okay. I can throw a court martial onto the second one too.
Yeah,
about
but you've already went past that.
But then if there's a meet. Well, that probably just makes me think then that maybe he was like, ho ho ho, but the rest of the crew behind him were like, oh no, dude, no more. Like they were sitting there with their hands up. You know what I mean? But then the captain was like, come on.
I kind of want to know why the English just opened fire.
Well, because it was a Danish.
But they
ship.
weren't at war.
Because it's not cricket, that's why.
Oh goodness, right? Okay, there is a little bit more complexity to this. Now I am going to see if I can find this from.
And why were
Wikipedia.
the English delivering a ship to the Swedes?
Like
Was it
these
like
were
an
the-
old decommissioned ship that they didn't want anymore and sold it off? Or?
It's all actually quite complicated. There's an awful lot of backwards and forwards politics going around at this time.
Yeah, but this is also a time whenever soldiers would just walk in a straight line because it was the honourable thing to do.
Thing is, the English ship, I think, was actually flying the Swedish flag, and Captain Peter was flying the Dutch flag on his ship. I don't know why. It's all very complicated about what flag is flying where. Let's see. Okay, so the other frigate, carrying 28 guns, which had been equipped in England for the Swedes, was on its way to Gothenburg under the command of English Captain Bachman. The Olbing galley signalled for Captain Peter's galley to come closer, and as he came closer, he raised the Danish flag, and then the English shot at him.
Ooh.
So I don't know. It's all quite complicated naval warfare, and
I'm gonna go for the last one.
Go through the first 2 points quickly, just a very quick recap. So,
okay. Option one, he challenged the English captain to a duel, and won the ship by killing him with a sword in one-on-one combat.
Oh right, okay. And so both crew would just watch then, like.
Yep. And then in B there was a mutiny on the ship, and he was tossed overboard by his own crew.
Because they've been fighting for 14 hours.
Yeah. and he was saved by ended up being saved by dolphins. But when he got saved by dolphins. But when he got back to Denmark, he was court-martialed.
No, that's not what you initially said. That's not what you initially said.
It's not what I initially said, but he would have been court-martialed.
How was he saved by dolphins?
The dolphins sort of swam along
Did
next
he
to
last?
him, and he kind of held on to their fins. I don't know
Like
how
the
it went.
Flintstones.
Was this before or after they gang raped him?
They were stroking his thigh on the way back.
It's, dolphins always require payment. That's all I'm saying.
Fuck, I don't know. Like
What's the third one?
The third one,
Rammed?
he ran out of ammo and he rammed the English ship.
I don't know any more to that now.
The English crew was rescued, and they all had
a hearty laugh about it.
A nice laugh and a drink about it.
They weren't a spot on deck and told to sit down until they reached shore.
Oh well, yeah, but they probably had a laugh as well.
Right.
You see, the English, I imagine the English were probably trying to be, if they did ram the English ship, I kind of have a feeling that maybe the English would just be like, try to be really chummy with the Danes. You know, just be like, oh, let's be mates with them, maybe they'll let us live.
See, the thing that really puts me off about that is explained it's not a great idea in those type of ships to ram, but the fact that it's a smaller ship against a larger ship as well makes it even more exciting.
Last resort sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, smaller kind of thing.
But
smaller ship might be stronger.
Who rammed who? The large ship
is,
at the small ship?
Smaller ship rammed the large ship.
The thing is, though, that
Not
that's
much.
only in a. If this is a one-on-one fight
Mm-hmm.
in the ships, why would you even feel the need to ram? Why not just withdraw? You've lost the battle, just withdraw. What's the necessity of stopping this other ship?
I don't know. I guess the English ship must have been either just as fast, or maybe they were damaged. Maybe the mast had been blown off or something.
Where are they in the water?
Floating on it on the top.
No, but where are they in the North Sea?
I don't know. They're in the North Sea somewhere, so probably somewhere between Scotland and Norway. Would be my guess, but I don't know. Maybe they're a bit closer to Denmark. I'm not sure.
But it was the North Sea. It was the North Cape.
North Sea.
I can't picture ramming. I thought, right, once we're out of ammunition, we would just leave. I don't see the point in sacrificing the ship just to take down another ship.
This ship was due for the Swedes, that the English had.
Yes.
How'd they plan on getting home?
I don't know. Probably.
Dolphins?
I guess they'd hop on a passenger ship.
Yes, actually, also, why would you, if you're right out in the middle of the North Sea, why would you sacrifice your ship? You're gonna die.
I don't know. Now you're asking why did they start fighting in the first place?
I can understand. You go into a fight expecting to win it.
Yeah.
What would be your second choice answer, if not for number 4?
I think the diddle thing's bullshit.
The what? Sorry.
The diddle.
The duel. Right. Okay. Why is that?
Because I've literally never heard that happening before with 2 ships.
Right. Okay.
But his reaction makes me think it might be true.
The thing is, if it's never happened before between 2 ships, that will make it notable, right?
Yeah.
He's using a bunch of backwards.
And now he's trying to
psychology
convince.
now
Now he's trying to convince me of that with the head nod.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if I was trying to suss myself out, and I knew that the ships were rarely one in a one-on-one.
That's actually a very good point, because why else is this battle notable?
Yeah.
Other than the English open fire randomly for some reason on a country they're not at war with.
Do you say 4? I'll say 3. Went for the ram. English were like, huh?
I don't think it's a ram.
You don't think it's a ram?
I don't think it's a ram.
You're gonna go with.
We think it's saved by dolphins?
No,
I'm not going to say by dolphins.
You're gonna go. Captain Peter asked the enemy for ammunition.
Yes.
Okay. So I can tell you that.
Hold on.
What are you going for?
Fuck it, I'll do 4. My gut says
okay,
4.
sorry. If you're going 4, I'll go 1 then.
All right.
Well, guys, I can tell you that Captain Peter Thorkenskjold was a fine duelist, and he absolutely loved ship combat. And when he ran out of ammo, he pulled over and asked the English captain for more.
So I was right then.
You're right. Jesus.
So he asked the English captain for more. The English captain said no, but they had a good laugh because it was such a good fight. Apparently,
they were like, "Yes,
I'm sure the crew of both ships really agreed with that.
I would see. It was the fact that they tacked on the court martial at the end of that one.
Certainly, he was court-martialed for basically ending the fight on a truce.
What happened to him?
And I think I was actually court-martialed and going on the attack against a bigger ship. But he got out of that by basically saying, But this is what the naval code says. It says I have to attack the enemy ship, even if it is bigger.
All right.
So the court-martial ended up with nothing. But sadly, Captain Peter did end up dying in a duel. He died in a sword duel.
On a ship?
Only a few years later. Not on a ship.
The
no.
Dolphin.
I think it was
The Dolphin.
it was due to a drunk argument. He ended up challenging some guy to a duel that he just lost.
All right.
Sad times for Captain Peter Tordenskjold.
Well, you may thank Mr. Black. He's the one that got me to go number 1.
Yes.
Maybe that was my intention.
No, it wasn't.
Well, you know.
Well,
No, it wasn't.
I hope I've entertained you at least with the story.
The
No,
Dolphin
I
one.
retrospectively changed my answer back to my original answer that I was sure.
Okay, Mr. Red. Well, what's your story?
Let's go fuck yourself. That's what it is.
I really wanted the Dolphin one to be true.
Oh, the
Saved
Dolphin
by
one would have been amazing if it was true, but sadly.
Saved by Dolphins.
Right.
Fuck you, Dolphin.
My story takes place
World War II.
No.
Vietnam.
No.
Cold War.
same time period.
CIA did something.
That's debatable.
FBI did something.
That's also debatable.
American government did something.
That's very debatable.
Right.
Yes. Anyway, it takes place in 1963 with Lee Harvey Oswald, as you
Oh,
may remember.
Oh, lovely.
He is the man who shot John F. Kennedy. He assassinated the President of the United States by shooting him from a book depository in Dallas, Texas, with a
Yep.
sniper rifle. Hit him in the back of the head twice.
It's probably the most famous assassination in the world.
Yep.
It's him and Julius Caesar. You know.
why was the Umbrella Man there? Like, why was he there? You ever seen the Umbrella Man?
No.
What about the two guys in the grassy knoll?
No, it's like a guy just standing in the middle of the grass, just wearing a black suit, but he had like an umbrella in the middle of a sunny day, and people were like, "What's he doing? What's he up to?" Because it was just weird to be standing there in the middle of a summer's day with an umbrella. They thought he was maybe in on it. He had no business standing there with an
Like
umbrella.
a skin condition, couldn't go in the sun.
Yeah,
Maybe he's a vampire.
yeah.
Well, anyway, so Oswald shot and killed Kennedy on the 22nd of November 1963 from the Books Depository building. He was then arrested.
Did you say the book suppository building?
What?
Didn't you mean the book?
Depository
Depository.
The Book Depository building, sorry.
Well, we nearly went into some dude shed tropes there, right? Sorry, moving on.
The Book Depository building, sorry. Yes, and then he was arrested after that. But
Book of the Bum.
what happened to him after he was arrested?
After he was arrested,
Yes.
right?
He died.
Right, so A. Oswald was found guilty of murder and spent the rest of his life in prison in USP Bournemouth.
How many choices is this?
There's 3. And he died on the 13th of October 1989 from stomach cancer. He never spoke for his reasons of assassinating Kennedy.
Right.
Second, Oswald was shot a couple of days later by a vigilante while being escorted by police and died within a few hours in the same hospital that Kennedy had been pronounced dead in days earlier. That's B. So
Yeah.
this is C. Oswald was found guilty of murder, sentenced to life in prison, and was sent to USB Bournemouth, but escaped on the 5th of June 1967 and was killed a week later when the police attempted to arrest him at a motel in southern Texas.
What do you mean killed? Like the police killed him?
Yes, they attempted to apprehend him and they killed him.
I guess he was fighting back.
He must have been resisting arrest.
Mm.
What was B again?
What was B again?
Yeah.
Oswald was shot a couple of days later by a vigilante while being escorted by police. He died within a few hours at the same hospital Kennedy pronounced dead in days earlier.
Now, before I ask you a question about this, Kennedy was declared dead in the hospital.
Yes.
He wasn't declared dead when his brains were splattered all over the back of his car.
Well, there was no doctor in the car, you
And
see.
half over his
Has to be
wife.
No
pronounced-
doctor in the car.
Yes. You have to be
He couldn't
pronounced.
be sure.
You have to be pronounced dead by a doctor.
Right, okay, right. Got that bit out of the way. So who was
His bloody
the
pulp. I
so
think
who
he's
was-
dead.
vigilante?
Just some guy.
Jack Ruby.
Did he have a motive? Was he questioned afterwards?
That's up for debate.
Vigilante. Up for debate, so there is a debate. Is there?
Well, it's up for debate. Like the US government was involved, or CIA was involved, the FBI was involved.
But what you're saying is this could be the right answer. B.
Or I could just be throwing that in there.
Or you could just be trying to.
Literally anything you say, whenever these and you add them in, it's just not even worth taking into account because I could just make something else up for the next one.
Do you think John Wilkes Booth was maybe a? What do you call those guys? He did have a lot of problems, didn't he?
John Wilkes Booth.
Lee Harvey Oswald, you mean?
Lee Harvey.
Did I say John Wilkes Booth?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah. So Lee Harvey Oswald, he did have bombs, didn't he? Like sort of before all this kicked off, like in his early life.
Well,
did he not?
as far as I remember, he was a Marine sniper.
But was he discharged for like reasons? Because I'm near sure I read something like that. Like he kind of had problem, or maybe after he was discharged, not long after he was discharged, he was getting in trouble with the police and stuff. And
Well, he
Like-
apparently travelled to the Soviet Union to try and defect.
that's what it was. Yeah, tried to defect. That's what it was. But then maybe that was a story that was made up. You see, this episode might be in jeopardy. If we talk about things we shouldn't, you know.
Well, to be honest, I think if we talk about things we shouldn't, we would need to have a listener to be in jeopardy. So if anybody out there is listening,
YouTube's always listening.
This is the biggest podcast ever. You're assuming we know listeners.
So right, okay. So when Lee Harvey Oswald went to prison, I guess he was probably. Let's assume we go with option A here. I assume he was probably a celebrated prisoner amongst prisoners, right? Probably had quite a
Well,
revered place.
Kay was hated by unions, as far as I remember, but
Yeah.
it was his brother, Bobby Kennedy, who went hard on crime and went after the different organized crime families in New York in particular. So they had a particular animus towards the Kennedys.
So he probably got off quite easy in prison.
Um,
At least socially.
yeah. Well, as such a high-profile killing, there's always one person that may take, particular resentment over it and maybe try to kill him.
Was
But
Kennedy
overall, if there was any probably mafia men in the prison, they would probably be happy with what he done.
I thought Kennedy was sort of revered by everybody, or was that maybe posthumously was he revered, like as a president?
Well, everyone's a saint once a day.
Yeah, I suppose. He wasn't your typical Democrat either, was he? Like he.
No, he actually was a Catholic.
No, but like he was kind of, was he not going against the grain in a few ways with the Democrats?
I don't know enough about them, its actual politics. As far as I remember, the one thing that really upset people that would have supported Democrats was he was hard on unions.
Was there not something about like equality and stuff as well? Did he not do something about
Well, this would have been in the era of civil rights, so
civil rights? Yeah, so did he not do something about that? Like,
well, I'm assuming he probably would have been for it. Somewhere probably after the 60s, I don't think any president was. It was all going progressive. It wasn't really.
but yeah, no, sure, he was for civil rights, but I think again, even Democrats at the time, there were quite a few Democrats who weren't really all for that. And again, on top of that, the unions.
I don't know enough about American politics in the 60s, so
Oh, really just sticking to the assassination then.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what the part of the disgruntlement of Lee Harvey Oswald was, because he
The
was for
mob-
civil rights.
The different crime families in the US did have it into the Kennedys. That's what I can tell you.
Right, okay. So, what's the third option then? He got shot at a motel, was it?
Yes, Oswald was found guilty of murder, sentenced to life in prison, and was sent to USP Vermont, but escaped on the 5th of June 1967 and was killed a week later when the police attempted to arrest him at a motel in southern Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only assume he must have been going towards the border.
I'm gonna go for B.
I think I'm going to go for B as well. I think I remember seeing something about someone being shot by someone while they were being escorted by police, and it being old black and white grainy footage, which might have come from the 60s. I don't know.
Are you sure it was? Are you sure it wasn't Yamaguchi or something?
Could have been. Well, I'll stick with B though. I think he was probably killed. I think he was killed by a vigilante.
Yeah, I'm gonna say B too.
B? Well, I can tell you, it's B.
I know.
All right.
I know.
You know that already.
Yeah, I know it already.
All right
But
then.
yeah, what was the conspiracy around the vigilante? Quote, vigilante.
No, he was sent by gangsters to kill Oswald to keep him quiet, because I think the conspiracy is Oswald was hired by mobsters to kill Kennedy, and then in order to keep Lee Harvey Oswald quiet, they had him killed
Mhm.
before he could say anything.
That makes sense as conspiracy theories go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it'll never be proven though, will it?
No.
We'll never know for sure. 'Cause what happened?
I thought they were supposed to release confidential files or classified files recently.
Obviously, didn't have the files. But what about the Mr. Ruby? Did you say
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby?
He
Yeah.
died of cancer a few years after this.
A few years after, and I guess he never spoke as to reasons why.
Don't believe so. No.
And that's why it's kept conspiracy nuts busy.
Did I ever tell you about the similar? I'm pretty sure I did actually. Did I? I mentioned the similarities between John F. Kennedy and Lincoln.
I'll go on for our listener. Please enlighten us again.
I'll go through it quickly here.
I remember one of them being Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theatre. Kennedy was shot in a Ford Continental.
Yeah.
1 second. Right, so these are the Wikipedia page is Lincoln Kennedy coincidences urban legend. So this is like another thing. Here are some true statements about the similarities. Both were elected to Congress in 46. Lincoln was elected in 1846 from Illinois, and Kennedy was elected in 1946 from Massachusetts. Both were elected to the presidency in 60. Lincoln was elected in 1860. Kennedy was elected in 1960. Both have 7 letters in their last names. Lincoln, Kennedy. Both were concerned with civil rights. Lincoln felt strongly that all slaves should be freed and issued Emancipation Proclamation, which legally freed slaves within the Confederacy. Kennedy was concerned with racial equality and was the first to propose what would be the Civil Rights Act, so he actually did propose that. Both married in their 30s to women in their 20s. Both lost a son while living in the White House. Lincoln lost his 11-year-old son, and Kennedy lost his infant son.
Sad times.
Yep. Both sons' names, William Wallace Lincoln and Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, have 21 letters each, which each having 7 letters each, first, middle, and last name. Both were shot on a Friday. Lincoln was shot on Good Friday, April 14th, 1865, and Kennedy was shot on Friday, November 22nd, 1963. Both were shot in the heat. Both were shot in the presence of their wives. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth from Maryland. Kennedy was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald from New Orleans, Louisiana. Both of the president's successors were named Johnson. Lincoln was succeeded by Andrew Johnson. Kennedy was succeeded by Lyndon B. Johnson. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Andrew Johnson was from Tennessee and Lyndon B. Johnson was from Texas. Both successors were born in 08. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808. Lyndon B. Johnson was born in 1908.
Fun.
Both assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, are known by their 3 names.
So basically, by this pattern, what we can figure out is in about 40 years, there'll be another American president who will be driving around in a... Well, we don't actually know because Lincoln was shot in a theatre. So
What we do know is he'll be shot in the head.
He'll be shot in the head, yeah.
In case that comes back to bite us, disavow.
No, we don't know anything.
Each assassin's full name is composed of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theatre. Kennedy was shot in a Ford car, a Lincoln limousine, as you said. These are uncertain assumptions. Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. 1865, after refusing to surrender, John Wilkes Booth was assassinated by Sergeant Corbett. In 1963, on his way to county jail, Lee Harvey Oswald was assassinated by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. And there's a couple of false assumptions. Let's clear this up while we're here. Although President Kennedy did have a female secretary named Evelyn Lincoln, there's no record that President Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy. Right. Both assassins were not born in 39. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1838. Lee Harvey Oswald was born in 1839. Close enough. Both ran from the theatre and was caught in a warehouse. Sorry, Booth ran from the theatre and was caught in a warehouse, and Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in the theatre. Booth did run from Ford's Theatre, where he shot Lincoln, but was caught in the barn in Virginia, not a warehouse. A barn can be a warehouse, though, can't it?
It's pretty much a warehouse.
Yeah, it's a warehouse
It's a
for
farm warehouse.
animals. Oswald fled from the Texas School Book Suppository, which was a warehouse where Oswald worked and where he shot Kennedy, was arrested in a movie theater. Again, close enough. Like, it's kind of like, ooh, that's weird. So, there you go. For you conspiracy nuts.
Do you like a good conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Right.
So, that was good. That was different.
It was fun. I quite liked it.
Yeah.
So,
If you've ever been rescued by a dolphin, let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you'd like our new format, please let us know how it was for you. And on that note, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.